If you don't know what's written in a NIS2 directive, what are the main requirements, and then this video is for you. So I'll show you today what are the 8 main cybersecurity incident reporting and enforcement requirements, and I'll also show you one NIS2 training program that you can actually use to train your colleagues about this EU Cybersecurity Directive. After watching this video, you'll have a much better idea on what you have to comply with, and you'll also know what will be the scope of your compliance project. And I made this video for security officers like CISOs, for compliance managers, for CTOs, so for anyone that will be involved in this kind of cybersecurity compliance project. And to learn more about NIS2 and other cybersecurity compliance frameworks, click this button below to subscribe to my YouTube channel. The first set of requirements of NIS2 are related to the responsibilities of senior management. So basically NIS2 says that top management or senior management must approve all the cybersecurity measures that are to be implemented in a company, and they also need to oversee their implementation and make sure that the company is continuously compliant, not only with NIS2 but also with other local cybersecurity laws in each country. And also, NIS2 says that top management can be held liable if the company is not compliant with NIS2 as well. Second set of requirements are related to cybersecurity training. So, Article 20 from NIS2 says that the senior management must go through regular cybersecurity training, but also it needs to enable all the employees in a company to go also through the cybersecurity training, and that this training needs to be regular. So it's not one-time thing, it's something that needs to happen continuously. And the topics that need to be covered are based on risks, specific risks and cybersecurity measures that need to be implemented in a particular company. The next major requirement is this risk-based approach to cybersecurity. This basically means that you have to perform a risk assessment to find out how big the risks are and what the risks are in the first place in order to start implementing particular cybersecurity measures. For example, NIS2 defines that you have to implement authentication methods, but it doesn't say which ones. So you have to perform risk assessment and then conclude which kind of technology you have to use, which kind of configuration of this technology needs to be used in order to perform authentication. And when doing this risk assessment, you have to assess the impacts, taking into account your company size, your environment, and so on and so forth. The fourth major requirement is that you have to perform this mixture of technical, operational, and organizational cybersecurity methods. It basically means that besides these IT controls like backup, authentication, and similar, you also have to perform measures like human resources security. You have to define all these policies and procedures, meaning this organizational security. You also have to implement physical security to protect your physical assets and so on. So the point is that only these, let's say, measures that are comprehensive that can actually bring the risk down to the acceptable level. NIS2 recognizes that these supply chain risks are actually a big issue, and therefore this is the next big requirement about supply chain security. So basically the directive requires companies to actually take care about the vulnerabilities of their suppliers, that they have to, let's say, monitor and choose the suppliers based on overall quality of their products and services, and also that they have to pay special attention to how they develop software, so to their software development procedures, and so that they have to verify all of these things when working with suppliers. The next big set of requirements are about incident reporting, and basically this is prescribed in Article number 23. And there are several types of reports ranging from early warning to incident notification to progress report, final report, intermediary report, so all kinds of reports depending on what type of incident this is. But all of these things are something that companies that are in scope of NIS2 have to take care of. The next set of requirements is around certification. Now, NIS2 does not require companies that are within the scope, meaning these 18 sectors of critical infrastructure companies, they do not need to certify. However, NIS2 says that their suppliers, specifically IT suppliers, will probably need to certify. It doesn't say against which standards, but it might go actually in the direction of ISO 27001 and also this European Cybersecurity Certification Scheme. But these requirements around the certification of suppliers will be prescribed by the EU Commission and by member states, meaning the countries within the European Union. They will have to define how these IT suppliers will need to certify. The last set of most important requirements are related to enforcement and fines. And NIS2 is quite strict here. It defines that government authorities will be able to supervise, to test, to audit these companies that are in the scope, but they will also be able to fine them, and basically fines will go up to 10 million of euros, or 2% of the revenues, of total worldwide revenues of these companies. And it doesn't mean only the revenues within the European Union, but the revenues worldwide. Also, the members of the senior management also might pay fines if their companies are not compliant. Okay, I'll show you now an example of a NIS2 training program that you can use to teach your colleagues about the requirements from this EU directive. Okay, once you start setting up a new training in this Advisera's company training account, you have to select the framework. In this case, this is NIS2. And then the system offers you automatically a couple of training programs, let's say senior management, security managers, and so on. So let's go for members of the project team, and then we click continue. Let's say for a country, let's say this is a EU-wide training, so let's continue further. And then it will show you automatically suggested lessons for each and every training for this particular training program. And yeah, there are several lessons here, starting with more generic, let's say, lessons around cybersecurity awareness. But let's go for some specific trainings. So let's say these here, you could see that there is a lesson around the implementation steps, about certification and standardization, which are the authorities, training and awareness. Then you have, let's say, cybersecurity requirements, incident and crisis management, supply chain security, reporting obligations for incidents, and so on. So as you can see, all these major requirements are covered in these videos. And of course, you can see a preview of each video by clicking here. And once you start this training program, these lessons will be delivered automatically to each participant in this training. Okay, I hope this was helpful, and click here to open a free trial at a company training account to start building your own NIS2 training programs. Thanks for watching.